So now that we have our project, where we can package and everything, and pretty much all the warnings, no errors, or we're basically set up and ready to go. Uh, I want to go ahead and resolve the footstep, so the locomotion warnings that were appearing. So, for example, if we head to SKGSF core, go to animation, animations, locomotion, and we'll just go to one of these walk ones, so like walk forwards. Basically, this physical material effect tag impact.footstep does not exist. So what we want to do is we want to create it, and then from there we can actually go ahead and just set up, you know, some rudimentary audio for every time we take a step. So to begin, we want to go ahead and make this tag. So let's go to our SKG zombies. We'll go to data, and we'll make a new folder here called gameplay tags. So here we're just going to have our data tables that are of the type gameplay tag table row. So we'll do DT underscore impact tags. Let's open that on up, and we're going to add a new one, and it's going to be impact dot footstep. So impact dot footstep. Hit save, go to project settings, gameplay tags, and add a new gameplay tag table list to our new DT impact tags. So now we can save, and we have the actual tag there. So we know we are ready to go, and we really just need to, for the most part, set up the actual audio system. So as you can see, they are provided with the SKG plugin. It's basically a way to kind of simplify this kind of stuff. But basically, it just performs a trace straight down, and from there, it'll search through the physical material that it hits for a event tag of, well, this tag here. And it'll go through, play the audio, any impact effects, decals, all that stuff. Now, regarding the actual effects themselves. So what I've done is I've brought in Ballistic VFX and the Footstep Sounds pack from the marketplace. Now, because I cannot actually, share these, and I do not have my own source of, these effects or these sounds, it's going to be up to you to either source them yourself, so find them from third party. If you already have them on hand, perfect, use those. But basically that kind of stuff. So in our case, for example, the footstep sounds would just be, you know, just random sound waves. All right, so let's begin with the setup. Now, the way the SKG system works for this, and again, this is optional, so if you have your own system, feel free to do it, but it works through physical materials. So if I select, this floor here, better yet, we'll just do the landscape. Where is oh, right, that's not the actual landscape. We need the landscape itself, so we can view the material instance for the landscape. If we load that up, you can see there is a physical material slot. Now, these are all from Ballistic VFX, I believe, which I don't want to use. So what we want to do is make a new physical material. So let's go to SKG Zombies, and we'll do data, and we'll make a new folder called physical, or let's just do phys materials, just to kind of match the name better. Inside of here, we're going to go down to physics, or physical material, and use SKG physical material. So let's call it phys material or phys mat underscore. We'll just have a generic one for soil, even though we actually shouldn't be out here, but the zombies will. And if we want to be able to hear that audio, we're going to want that. But I don't really know if we can actually be close enough to hear it anyways. But again, this is more so for testing. So for the effects, we want to add the tag that we just made. So impact.footstep. Go to the impact sound settings, and we're just going to add a random sound, which will be we'll do glass. So this is probably going to sound like crap. And then we're going to set the physical material in the landscape to be the soil. So let's go ahead and save that and start walking around. Okay, so I'm not hearing anything at the moment. I wonder if it's related to potential collision. Does this have audio? Let's see. Okay, that was a little loud. Yes, it does. So let's try a different portion. So let's just try, one of these here. So the actual floor, again, we can set the material to be the soil, physical material, hit play, and walk in here. Okay, I'm going to turn the recording volume down for that. But we are getting the audio. So we're just not getting the audio from the soil for whatever reason. So I'll have to kind of debug and tinker with that. But hopefully you can kind of see how this is working. So this is useful for things like bullet impacts and that kind of stuff as well. So for example, if our bullet hits the soil, we can spawn the actual, what's the word? Whatever particle effects, whatever sounds, whatever decals we want to leave behind. We can define all that in here. So now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and just start making some sound cues. So let's go to Content, SKG Zombies, Assets. Let's have a new folder called Sounds. And in here, we're going to have a new one called Footsteps. So we're going to make a new, where is audio? Audio sound cue. Name it SC underscore. And this one will be for, I guess we can consider this to be concrete, which is going to be, 90% of what we're actually walking on, except for this, I guess, loose gravel here. So we have our concrete, and we can bring in our audio from here. Let's go to content, and in my case, I'm going to grab some of these sounds here. What are these? Oh, these do have stuff in them. Oh, perfect. I can actually, I think, copy this whole entire concrete section. So we'll grab this chunk here because I want the male. And I don't care about the comment. So basically, we just have each of our players. So this is going to be, each audio sound, as you can see, defined by the sound wave. We're going to select a random one and provide it to the output. So let's save our sound cue, go to our fizz map for the soil, and set it to SC underscore concrete. And if we go ahead and play the sound cue, so that was for number 3, that was number 1, number 4, so on and so forth. So now if I walk, you can hear we have some audio. Now that's it's a lot quieter. I'm going to go ahead and bump the sound back up. But we actually have, our footsteps. Now we still need to go ahead and make some attenuation. So let's go back to sounds and have a new folder called attenuation. I have no idea if I even spelled that right. So ATT. Yep, I spelled that wrong. ENUATION. I would call it attenuations. So this will be a audio sound attenuation, and we'll do SA underscore footstep because we want a pretty short range for this. So let's go ahead and set the attenuation here to match. And we pretty much just want the inner radius. So this is going to be, basically within 400 units. So let's help try to visualize this. So we'll do, let's grab 2 of these lamps. So within 400 units, so 1, 2, 3, 4, it is going to be pretty much at max volume. So everything we hear here will be, within that 400 unit range. So we want max volume to be pretty close. So maybe something like, I don't know, this is what? So 100 units. And then we want it to fade out and only be really hearable. So about maybe 300 units. So we're going to do inner radius is 100 and fall off distance is 300. And that should get us pretty close to where we want. Okay. So that is a fair bit better. And you'll kind of see, like if I set the inner radius to something like 10 and then the fall off distance to 100, you can hear it. It'll Should be a lot quieter. Okay, I can't even actually hear that. So let's try, oh wait, that's right, it's more than 100. We need 200, and we'll do 20. So you can hear it's pretty quiet. It kind of has that faded sound. So I'm not too well versed in all this, but I'm going to leave mine at 50 and 250, and that'll probably be just kind of my default for footsteps. So we have our sound cue for footsteps. I can delete these two lanterns, and then I want to go ahead and rename this physical material. So we want a physical material for this going to be concrete because we're changing it over, and we want another one for rubble. So we can open that up and do basically the same thing. So let's go to our concrete. Go over here, we have our concrete. And let's see if we have something like, here we are, gravel. So let's go ahead and duplicate this concrete and do another one for gravel. Did I spell gravel right? Yes, I did. So we open that up. We can grab all of our sound cues, drag and drop, and basically replace. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And again, it already has the correct sound attenuation. So we have our gravel for this guy here. And we can load up the material instance, set the physical material to gravel. Wait, did I not? Oh, sorry, rubble. I misread rubber for rubble for some reason. And now you will hear this rubble here. Okay, I am still hearing the wrong sound. So I wonder then if it is tracing underneath, because this does have collision. Okay, so that's not the case. Set the physical material to rubble. Okay, so we should be hearing this guy. So, oh, we never changed the sound cue. So sound cue underscore gravel. So now when we walk, we hear concrete, and now we'll hear the gravel. Like so. All right, so that takes care of that. And that's pretty much all we actually need. Now we just can basically, apply these materials to whatever materials we actually have that we can walk on. So for example, this and this use the same material. The stairs use a different one. So we want to open up the concrete part, set it to concrete. Then we can go up to here. These are all going to be the same. What else can we walk on? I don't believe there's actually anything else other than the zombies walking on this here, which is the damaged plaster slab. So we can, well, we already have that actually set. So now let's just walk around. So we have sound on the stairs. We have it in that rubble. And here we have the audio as well. We have it for everything but the landscape. But anyways, that's fine in my opinion. So now that we have that, I'm gonna go ahead, close these down, and cook again just because of all the additional content. I want to make sure that that is just for future packaging good to go. So let's go ahead and package again and clear the log and just see, what happens. Do we have any warnings, anything like that? Okay, so we package successfully. Let's go to the top. And we have just our shader warnings. Again, we can ignore those. And we are free from any other warnings. So let's real quick go ahead and launch up the packaged build and just make sure we actually have the audio playing, which we do. So So we have it for the gravel and everywhere else. So we are good to go. Alrighty, so that is going to be all for this video. I just wanted to kind of get that in place, and feel free, just look around, find some various, particle effects that you might want to use, some various audio effects, all that kind of stuff. So that way it should be pretty straightforward to just plug them in. So I'll see you in the next one. If you like what I'm doing and you want to help support me, you can find a link to my Patreon in the description below, where you can also get early access to this entire series.